Previously in Colón, Entre Ríos, a group of parents protested outside the family court and city hall, claiming that their rights as parents were being violated. They allege that their children are kept in residential facilities under inadequate conditions and are denied regular contact despite prior agreements with the judge. In Concepción del Uruguay, a follow-up segment features an interview with a mother impacted by the child protection system.
They took my child from me and issued a 90-day measure against me, claiming it was to work with me, all because I missed an appointment. They had no evidence or medical records to show my child was malnourished, hurt, or neglected, as they claimed. They filled the file with false accusations, and when I tried to submit photos and messages proving my child was mistreated by his paternal family, they refused to accept my report. Later, due to connections the paternal family had within the child welfare department, they took my child away from me without evidence and placed him with them. I tried to file a report at the police station, but they wouldn't accept it. I went to the court multiple times, only to be told they couldn't help me. I even sought assistance from a public defender, but they also declined to take my case.
Good afternoon. My case involves my 5-year-old daughter, whom I haven't seen since December 8th of last year. I have tried to resolve this situation through 3 mediation processes, but each one failed because the other party didn't uphold the agreements. As a result, I had to turn to the judicial system. I've filed 25 complaints for contact obstruction, 24 were dismissed without explanation, and the remaining 1 is ongoing, though the prosecution hasn't given it any importance, and I haven't received any response. I've also received no support from Child Welfare Services or NAF. I have repeatedly sought help from these organizations, even requesting supervised visits, but they have shown no interest in the case. I also sense a clear bias, as they seem to automatically side with the mother without a thorough investigation. Despite the fact that allegations against me have been proven false, there's been no change in how my case is handled. Furthermore, the Child Welfare Department treats me with a condescending attitude and provides no concrete answers, even though I've submitted evidence, videos, audio, and photos, showing the mistreatment my daughter has suffered. Neither the local teams nor those in San Jose have taken any action to protect my daughter's rights, which I find deeply concerning. I question the role of these professionals if they do not fulfill their duty to protect the child's rights. The inaction and negligence from the prosecution and technical team are disheartening. It feels like no progress can be made unless one insists persistently. Unfortunately, it's been a year since I last saw my daughter, who now lives in what I consider a hostile environment with her mother's new partner, who, as far as I know, has had previous issues, and the father of another child also present in that setting. This situation impacts my daughter's emotional well-being, disrupts her development, and causes her confusion and pain, with no one seemingly taking responsibility for these consequences. Thank you for allowing me to share my story.
I apologize, it's me, the father speaking in this situation. I didn't mention any specific article earlier, but I can tell you that we're prohibited from publicly discussing the information through an official notification. According to this document, Article 75, Section 22 of the Argentine National Constitution is cited. This section addresses Congress's authority to approve or reject treaties with other countries, which has implications for national sovereignty and policy. Do you think it makes sense for this to limit our freedom to speak about the case? I can share the document if needed, but please omit any names. After this measure expired, I received another notification extending it for 180 days, this time without referencing Article 75, Section 22. This clearly shows a lack of basis for restricting our freedom of expression. It's striking how they try to forbid us from discussing the case without providing a clear justification, almost as if they are taking advantage of our lack of knowledge. And this document isn't just any paper, it's an official notice signed by a judge. Everything I'm saying is documented. Additionally, during this process, our child support funds were withheld, and in a hearing, we were ordered to pay child support of 25,000 pesos per week for our daughter, to be deposited into an account we were never given information about. Our daughter is in a state institution, and by law, we shouldn't be responsible for these expenses. The situation is highly irregular and questionable.
A lot of corruption in all of this.
In one of the notifications, the court distanced itself from issuing certain orders, stating that it was the NAF that made the decision. In theory, only a judge has the authority to rule on these matters, yet here the NAF acts as if it were a judicial authority, which is an abuse of its role. This is becoming an issue of nullity, something outside the law, and the worst part is what we don't know about mothers who have no way to defend themselves. At least I have documents in my hands, but those mothers only have their word, with no means to prove anything. Do you understand? I represent a threat to them because of all the information I have, and there is much more I could share.